Following the passing of her mother-in-law, Valya arrived for the reading of the will, only to find her husband and his paramour present, cradling a newborn. However, when the solicitor began to read her mother-in-law's final declarations, and before we proceed, please share your country of origin. We hope you enjoy the presentation. The news of Anna Petrovna's demise struck like lightning on a clear afternoon. Valya felt faint, her hand flying to her chest. Despite her mother-in-law's prolonged illness over the past few years, the news of her passing came unexpectedly early. Though not bound by blood, their connection surpassed that of many biological families. Anna Petrovna had consistently championed Valya, recognizing qualities even Igor had overlooked: her inherent kindness, resilience, and gentle spirit. Accompanying the announcement of her death was a formal summons to the will's adjudication, signifying her mother-in-law's affection and a desire to be remembered with profound gratitude and love. The day designated for the will's reading dawned grim and sodden, mirroring Valya's somber disposition. She donned a somber black ensemble, attempting to conceal the tremor of apprehension beneath its surface. Approaching the law firm's edifice, she inhaled deeply, steeling her resolve, when her gaze alighted upon the entryway. Igor stood there, yet he was not alone. Beside him preened Alina, youthful and adorned like a porcelain doll. She held a bundle from which a soft whimper emanated. Their child. The world as Valya knew it seemed to invert itself. She had long harbored suspicions, but witnessing this stark reality firsthand was utterly devastating. It felt like a shard of glass piercing her heart. Alina's eyes met Valya's. A triumphant smirk touched her lips, her expression radiating only coldness and disdain. He had always perceived her as weak, indecisive, and insignificant. He craved a vibrant, audacious Alina, someone willing to do anything to secure their aims. Nausea welled in Valya's throat. Her impulse was to flee, to vanish, to never again confront these individuals. Yet an inner resolve held her fast. Was it pride or sheer obstinacy? Having confronted the truth, she was uncertain, but she resolved to remain, summoning every ounce of her willpower. Valya ascended the steps with deliberate slowness. Igor and Alina permitted her passage. He offered a sardonic glance, seemingly unconcerned by the evident pain he inflicted. Within the legal office's waiting area, the receptionist greeted her cordially, gesturing for her to be seated. Igor and Alina took seats opposite one another. The atmosphere crackled with palpable tension, the palpable tension of those clutching their handbags, the incessant ticking of the wall clock, the scent of aged parchment and polished wood. One could only observe their expressions. Finally, Lawyer Smirnov cleared his throat, shattering the silence. "We are convened here," he stated in a level tone, "for the adjudication of the estate of the late Anna Petrovna Ivanova. All parties with an interest are present. Her son, Igor Ivanov." He faltered, casting a glance at Alina. His companion Ava, he corrected himself, is Irina Ivanova. The word wife sent a tremor through Valya. Technically, she was still Igor's spouse, yet in essence, their marital bond had dissolved the instant she first laid eyes on him. With Alina, Lawyer Smirnov opened a substantial file, withdrawing several documents. He examined them meticulously, adjusted his spectacles, and surveyed the assembled individuals once more before commencing the will's reading. "I wish to inform you," he announced, "that a personal letter from Anna Petrovna accompanies this document. It is to be appended to the will." Lawyer Smirnov cleared his throat again and began to read. His voice, though seemingly monotonous and detached, captured Valya's every word, every phrase. "I, Anna Petrovna Ivanova, of sound mind and memory, do hereby bequeath all my real and personal property." He enumerated the assets: a city center apartment, a country residence, bank accounts, and company shares. Valya listened as if adrift in a dream, the pronouncements feeling distant and unreal. She had anticipated nothing specific. "All the aforementioned assets." The lawyer paused. Silence descended upon the room. Valya found it difficult to process what she was hearing. Igor and Alina exchanged looks of disbelief, a shared astonishment. "Something is occurring," Lawyer Smirnov continued, undeterred by their reaction. Should Valentina Ivanovna decline the inheritance, it will be directed to a charitable foundation supporting children with cancer. Valya snapped back to awareness. She had no intention of refusing, not out of a desire for the wealth, but because it represented Anna Petrovna's final wish, a mandate she felt compelled to honor. Igor could no longer contain himself. "This is an error," he exclaimed, leaping to his feet. "This is impossible. My mother would never have done this." Alina rose with him, echoing his sentiment. "Yes, this is some kind of fabrication," she shrieked. "This lawyer is clearly a charlatan." Lawyer Smirnov regarded them calmly over his glasses. "I understand your surprise," he stated in an even voice. "The will has been prepared in strict accordance with all legal mandates and bears notarization. You are at liberty to contest it in court. However, I must caution you, the prospects of success are exceedingly remote." Igor's fists clenched. The notion that his mother would disinherit him entirely was inconceivable. He had been certain that everything would pass to him, her sole heir, and this unassuming Valya would merely receive meager remnants. "You said something to her," Igor bellowed. "I'll make you pay dearly." Valya recoiled from his outburst, baffled by the intensity of his animosity. What had she ever done to provoke such hatred? "Igor, stop!" Alina attempted to intervene. "Don't disgrace yourself." But Igor was beyond restraint, consumed by fury, humiliation, and a crushing sense of defeat. Lawyer Smirnov raised a hand, signaling for order. "I must insist on decorum. Failure to comply will necessitate police intervention." He paused, then continued. "As I previously stated, a letter from Anna Petrovna is appended to the will. I believe you will find its contents of interest." He retrieved another document from the file and began to read. His voice now carried a distinct note of sorrow. "My dearest Valya," Anna Petrovna's words began, "if you are reading this, I have already departed from this world. I thank you for all you have done for me. You were more than a daughter-in-law. You were a daughter to me. You cared for me, supported me, and loved me. I am aware that Igor does not value you and has caused you considerable distress. However, I have faith in you, Valya. I know you are a strong and discerning woman. You deserve happiness, and I wish for you to find it." The lawyer's voice wavered. He cleared his throat and proceeded. "Igor, I am profoundly disappointed in you. I am aware of your affair with Alina and that you will soon be a father. While I do not condemn you, it pains me to witness your betrayal of Valya. She was your devoted wife, who loved you with her entire heart, and you deceived her, humiliated her, and betrayed her. I cannot entrust you with my possessions. I do not wish for you to squander them. Instead, I intend for them to benefit Valya, to aid her in forging a new life, and to provide her with the opportunity for happiness. Farewell, my son. I hope that one day you will comprehend your error." Valya listened to Anna Petrovna's letter, tears streaming down her face. She hadn't realized her mother-in-law was aware of Igor's infidelity. He couldn't fathom his mother's thoughts about him. He had always considered himself her favorite, believing she would forgive any transgression. Alina remained silent, her face a mask of disappointment and anger. She grasped that her aspirations for a life of affluence had crumbled in an instant. "How is this possible?" she exclaimed, turning to Igor, her voice laced with genuine despair. "You assured me everything would be ours, that your mother adored you and would never disinherit you." Igor stood with his head bowed, ashamed to meet Alina's gaze. He had in fact believed his own narrative of infallibility. Now he was utterly humiliated, facing his neglected wife and a lover who saw him merely as a means to wealth. Alina, realizing there was no longer hope, shoved Igor aside. "You are nothing," she spat, her words laced with contempt. "You've proven to be a pathetic loser. I have no need for a man like you." Without waiting for a response, she turned and fled the room, child in arms, leaving Igor standing utterly alone. He made no attempt to stop her. In that moment, he felt utterly abandoned. Valya observed this unfolding scene with a sense of detachment. She felt a pang of sympathy for Igor, but this was mingled with contempt and resentment. She witnessed his world disintegrating, his betrayal by those who, only yesterday, had pledged their love and loyalty. Yet she also acknowledged his culpability in his own downfall. Recovering his senses, Igor turned to Valya, tears welling in his eyes. "Valyusha," he whispered, grasping her hand. "Forgive me. I was a fool. I made a terrible mistake. Please, give me a chance to rectify this." Valya withdrew her hand. Her gaze was icy, devoid of any inclination to mend what had been broken. "What precisely can be fixed, Igor?" she inquired, meeting his eyes directly. "Can you turn back time? Can you erase your infidelity, your child?" "No, Igor, that is beyond possibility." Igor sank to his knees. "Please, Valyusha," he implored. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I have nothing left. Alina has abandoned me. I am alone. Please, help me. Share a portion of the inheritance. I truly have nowhere to go." Valya remained silent, looking down at him. She perceived his despair and humiliation, but she also recalled all the pain he had inflicted. She remembered the sleepless nights, the tears of disappointment, the profound betrayal of her love and trust. "I understand that this is difficult for you now," she finally said, her voice firm. "However, I will not assist you. You chose your own path. You have ruined your own life. I will not bear the consequences of your errors." Igor looked at her, his eyes brimming with tears. "But Valyusha," he pleaded, "how can this be? We were a family. We shared years together. Can you not find it within yourself to forgive me?" Valya shook her head. "Forgiveness is possible, but forgetting and returning to the past are not. I will not do that. You betrayed more than just me, Igor. You betrayed yourself. You betrayed our love. So, please, leave me be. I am embarking on a new chapter." She turned and walked out of the courtroom without a backward glance. Igor remained kneeling, utterly alone, amidst the ruins of his shattered aspirations. He was too late, he realized. He had lost everything precious to him, and could only blame himself. He attempted to speak to her again, to beg for absolution, but seeing her resolute expression and cold gaze, he understood the futility. He had lost her irrevocably. Igor exited the courthouse, blinded by the bright sunlight. It seemed the entire world had turned against him. He was adrift, uncertain of his next move, his destination. He finally comprehended the full magnitude of his mistake, realizing he had not only lost Valya, but also himself, an individual consumed by malice, selfishness, and insensitivity. He had compromised his principles, his ideals, his love, and Valya. Valya walked along the street, her gaze fixed resolutely ahead. She felt liberated and self-reliant. Though she had endured pain and betrayal, she had not fractured. She had emerged stronger and wiser. She knew what lay before her, a new life brimming with promise and hope. Had her existence been upended? Just yesterday, she was a mere shadow, submerged in domesticity and devotion to her husband. Today, she was the inheritor of a substantial fortune and the architect of her own destiny, poised to begin anew. The preparations were swift. Valya packed only the absolute necessities, items that held sentimental value from her past, and entrusted the apartment to lawyer Smirnov. He facilitated the paperwork and the sale of the house. He also suggested a modest yet promising town as her new residence, describing its inhabitants as gentle and their pace of life tranquil, precisely what she needed at that moment. Valya secured a small apartment on the outskirts. She invested the majority of her funds in acquiring a vacant commercial space in the city's heart. Formerly a bookstore, it had stood empty for years. Valya immediately envisioned its potential as a cafe. The renovation spanned several months. Valya personally oversaw every detail, infusing the venture with not only capital, but also her own spirit. She selected wallpaper in warm, muted tones and commissioned bespoke wooden furnishings. Curtains adorned with a floral motif were sourced from a local artisan. Her vision was to create an establishment where patrons could escape the urban hustle, savor a cup of aromatic coffee, and engage in meaningful conversation. The name chosen was Uyuzi, comfort, perfectly encapsulating her aspiration for the cafe to be a haven of warmth and welcome. The grand opening was understated. Valya simply hung an open sign and awaited her inaugural customers, who soon arrived. Two elderly ladies from the adjacent building were the first to venture in. After perusing the menu with interest, they inquired about Valya's plans before ordering tea and a slice of pie. Valya anxiously awaited their verdict. "You know, dear," one of the ladies remarked after sampling the pie, "this is simply delightful, and your pies are exquisite. They remind me of my grandmother's." Valya exhaled in relief. This was her first triumph. Gradually, a loyal clientele began to frequent the establishment. Young mothers with their children, students weary from their studies, and elderly couples seeking a serene setting for conversation. Valya endeavored to connect with each individual, offering a listening ear, words of support, or simply a warm smile. She seemed to blossom, radiating renewed energy and confidence. She baked pies and cakes herself, utilizing Anna Petrovna's cherished traditional recipes. Her apple pie quickly became the cafe's signature offering. The enticing aroma of freshly baked goods wafted through the neighborhood, drawing in new patrons. In the evenings, when the cafe quieted, Valya's thoughts would drift to Igor. She felt no animosity towards him, only a gentle melancholy. She understood that he had orchestrated his own downfall, and she felt a measure of pity, though this pity did not equate to forgiveness. Valya knew that she could never truly forget his betrayal. She had released him from her heart, making space for new affections. As she closed the cafe one evening, Valya gazed at the Uyuzi sign. Yes, comfort was the word that best defined her life: comfort, warmth, love, and happiness, all found in this small town, within this welcoming cafe. Several months passed for Valya in a blur of diligent work and quiet contentment. One morning, as Valya meticulously polished the large windows in preparation for the day's opening, she saw him. Igor, buffeted by the autumn wind, appeared drained and defeated, as if years had suddenly been etched upon his face. His eyes reflected exhaustion and a profound sense of impending doom. Valya's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't anticipated seeing him, here or now. She averted her gaze, feigning obliviousness, and proceeded towards the cafe entrance, taking a deep breath to steady herself. A shiver traced its way down her spine. She knew this encounter was inevitable. Igor paused before the cafe's entrance, hesitant to proceed. He gazed at the sign for an extended period, as if gathering his thoughts. Valya observed him from behind the glass, maintaining a composed expression. Finally, summoning his courage, he pushed the door open. The bell above the entrance chimed melodically, announcing his arrival. Valya lowered her cleaning cloth and met his gaze with a look of cold serenity. The cafe was not crowded. Only a few patrons were engaged in quiet conversation over their coffee. All eyes momentarily shifted, sensing the palpable tension in the air. Igor approached the counter where Valya stood. He looked at her wordlessly, searching for the right words. "Hello, Valya," he said, his voice hoarse and uncertain. Valya remained silent. Acknowledging his greeting, she scrutinized his face, seeking any flicker of remorse, any vestige of the Igor she had once loved. But she saw only the shadow of a man broken by life and his own missteps. "What do you require, Igor?" she inquired, her tone even, betraying none of her inner turmoil. "I have come to ask for your forgiveness," he confessed, lowering his eyes. "I know I committed a terrible wrong. I understand that. I caused you immense pain." Valya offered a slight, contemptuous smile. "Forgiveness? Do you truly believe your words hold any weight now? You shattered my life, Igor. You trampled on my love, betrayed me in the most despicable manner, and now you simply appear and expect forgiveness." "I know this will change nothing," Igor replied, his voice trembling, "but I had to say it. I live with this burden every day." "And what do you expect from me?" Valya asked, crossing her arms. "That I pity you? That I absolve you?" "I do not expect your forgiveness," Igor said. "I merely wish for you to know that I am sorry, that I comprehend the magnitude of my error." "You regret," she repeated, a grimace of disdain crossing her features. "You regret not me, but your own comfort, your own well-being." Igor looked at her, his eyes filled with pain and despair. "That is untrue, Valya. I regret losing you. You are the finest thing that ever happened in my life. Valia felt a momentary softening, but quickly suppressed the sentiment. She could no longer afford to believe his pronouncements. He had deceived her far too many times. It is too late, Igor, she said firmly. Too much water has flowed under the bridge. You yourself destroyed everything. I know, he responded. I wanted to see you again, to see that you are happy. I am happy, Valia confirmed. I am happy without you. Igor nodded, as if accepting her words. He turned and walked slowly towards the exit. Igor, Valia called out to him. He stopped and turned. Do not come here again, she stated. Do not bother me. I wish to forget you, to forget the past. I want to live my life. Igor offered no response, merely a nod, and departed the cafe. The bell above the entrance chimed one final time, marking his exit. Valia watched until he was out of sight. A colossal weight lifted from her shoulders. She felt no anger, no resentment, only profound relief and a sense of liberation. She turned to the patrons who had observed the scene with keen interest. Forgive me for this disturbance, she said, attempting a smile. The customers smiled in return, conveying their understanding. Valia walked to the window and looked out. Igor was no longer visible. Valia picked up her cleaning cloth and resumed wiping the windows. The sun shone brightly, illuminating her face and filling her heart with warmth. She felt free and content. She had reclaimed her dignity, and that was paramount.